Hello, hello. This is Jade. How's it going? Thanks for stopping by. You've reached Wilder Moments Tarot, where I draw tarot cards, oracle cards for the highest truth and compassion, identifying what's in our unconscious, conscious, unconscious, overall energy, mind, space, and advice. So today, I'm just going to start drawing the cards. Let's see what happens here. Spirit guides of the highest truth and compassion. What is it that the collective needs to hear for the highest good? I invite you in. I invite you in. I invite you in. I just saw like these two rings. That's interesting. These two, it's almost like these two circles. Like, oh, that's interesting. Like this hand gesture, this might mean something. I don't know what it means, but it might mean something. Maybe glasses. That might be a part of it. Whee! Oh, you know what I think of? Like Luna Lovegood. Doesn't she have some glasses that look kind of like that? Interesting. All right, let's see what comes up. All right, so bottom of the deck is the Queen of Swords. Cool. Queen of Swords. This white feather right here stands out to me. That might be a symbol for you. There's a lot of white on this card with the band, like the diadem. It's kind of white, the feather's white, the kitty's white, the coat is white. I'm getting a lot of like royalty and surrender and pure angelic vibes. Clearing, like calcite, clearing. Clearing, maybe you've gone through some clearing. And you're conscious. The Queen of Swords. Wow, you got two queens. Look at you go. I use them interchangeably. Two queens, two kings. How does this lady appear to me today? You know, she actually seems kind of content. The way whenever I look at the face of the individual, sometimes I get a little message, and all I'm getting is, it's kind of this feeling of, it's like this beginning feeling of I can do this, if that makes sense. Like maybe there's something in your life that feels a little scary, which I can definitely resonate with. Like maybe there's something that you do for work, or maybe there's something that you even do for fun and it's a little scary. Maybe because you're a beginner. You're a beginner, which is interesting because that's kind of the vibe I got with this Queen of Swords. I know the Queen of Swords is not necessarily a beginner, but a beginner of the clearing, if that makes sense. A beginner of kind of taking stock of what emotions are yours, what emotions aren't, what stories you're telling yourself that are and aren't yours. And I think part of it is maybe you realizing that the majority of the stories you're telling yourself are not yours. And so you yourself at the very slate embody the Queen, the King of Swords, of Wands. And so the way that I see Queen today is like, okay, I'm not sure that I'm ready, but I'm here and I have the courage to keep going. That's what I got from Queen today. Is like, you know, I'm not gonna be perfect. This is kind of the story. I'm not gonna be perfect, but I know enough. I trust myself, and I'm gonna keep going anyway. That's what I get. That's really, really powerful. In the unconscious, there's the Magician. There's the Magician. There is something in your life that you're putting energy towards. Like you're putting productive energy towards. The Magician they are able to pull from their imagination, from their connection with spirit, from their inner child I just got, to create, to bring something forward to the external world. And so create can be very broad. It doesn't necessarily have to be a piece of art or a book or something that you make with your hands. Though this card very much deals a lot with that. What I'm mainly getting from the message is there's these tools you've identified with how to self-regulate. That word just came through. Self-regulate. Self-regulate. And you are actively bringing them forward in your own life. And you are identifying, I just got quickly, or it's quicker, that you are identifying when if a spiral should really be dysregulating you as much as it does. So I'm trying to see if I have an example here, but I'm being guided to pull overall energy first. The overall energy is the 9 of Wands, which I believe falls with the message, the overall energy being something in your headspace or something in your waking life is a burden. That's the first thing that comes to mind, is a burden. Like this witch, they're carrying all these broomsticks. And it's like carrying all the water for everybody, carrying all the wands for everybody, so to speak. Which is interesting because I had Harry Potter in the beginning, carrying all the wands. You know, I do feel like Hermione Granger carries, I just got a huge tickle up my spine here. I feel like Hermione Granger carries a lot of wands for everybody. Maybe you have something to share with that, maybe in the comments. But, you know, all three of them, that little triad of friend, Ron, Harry, Hermione, they each have something unique to bring to the table. They each complete the journey. They complete the battle. They complete the story. They each contribute. They're very major players. But when I think of who carries the water, who carries the burden, I feel like she carries a lot of the burden because people rely on her to know everything. And maybe that's how you feel in your life. Maybe people rely on you to know everything. And it's exhausting. And it's exhausting. It's kind of part of what I'm getting. But I think you're having a lot of grace with yourself. I think that in the past, maybe you used to take on this burden a different way. Maybe you're not seeing, you're changing. You're changing how you decide to take wands for people. Apart from that, as I was saying about beginning again and creation, because you have identified that you have a tendency to carry the weight, you are seeing the truth. You are seeing the truth. Maybe because it wasn't sustainable. Maybe because it wasn't sustainable, maybe it made you sick. Maybe carrying so much burden made you sick. I know I've definitely gotten like physically ill if I have not been taking care of myself, if I have been overdoing for everybody else. That could be a part of it. So maybe something happened, which is actually hilarious. Last year that happened to me. I just use myself as an example sometimes because we're all in this together, you know? So last year when I moved, like every part of my life, you guys, like cracked open. Every single part of my life. And my health was a big one. My health and how I chose to carry burdens. There is something here about if you find that you're getting if you're getting sick a lot, maybe slow down. Is there a way for you to slow down? Is there a way for you to seek some guidance or support, either from a medical professional or someone in wellness that can help? Someone you trust, someone licensed, someone certified, someone reputable, okay? There's part of that's here. But there is this main message. There's a little bit that I haven't quite gotten yet, and I know it's coming just around the bend. And it's that you're looking at things differently. You're having the courage to press on. That specific way of saying it, press on. That's how it wants to come out. It's just interesting because I don't ever say things like that. Press on. And it's funny, Harry Potter. I don't know. Maybe there's something there. Maybe you're from that part of the world. Maybe you're from the UK area. I don't know. But there is a clearing that's happened. You are identifying. You are having the courage to move forward. And you're unconscious. You have your tools. You know what's yours. You know what isn't. And you're seeing this load. That's another part. You're seeing this load. You're seeing all these wands and you're like, why do I have Ron's wand? And why do I have Harry's wand? And why do I have all of the Weasley's wands? Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? So the advice for you, I don't know why 3. I feel like 3 wants to come out. Maybe the number 3 is significant. Holy Moses, look at that. We got, aren't these cards are kind of similar. So the 4 of Pentacles. The 4 of Pentacles. The 7 of Swords. We got 2 black cats. Maybe that's significant for you. Maybe you have a black cat. Maybe you like black cats. Or they mean something to you. And we have the 9 of Cups. So the advice with all these things here. I think it's really funny that we got these 2 cards because I honestly feel like there's so much similar energy with them. It's kind of this feeling of, and now there's so many connotations, okay? I feel like sometimes people pull the 7 of Swords and they're like, there's really horrible things happening. But I'm going to look at this a little bit differently. So when I see these 2 cards, what I mainly feel is someone who's very cautious. Someone who wants to protect themselves, someone who wants to go about things strategically, someone who wants to, it's mostly protect themselves. And all of these things together, this 9 of Cups, the way this individual, this witch, they're meditating by the sea. That's interesting. By the sea. I don't usually say that either. They're meditating by the sea and they're picking apart, what do I need to, how can I move through my feelings? That's just coming through. How can I move through my feelings honoring myself? How can I move through this really difficult situation honoring myself? How can I get the courage to press on, to pull what I know from my imagination, what I know from spirit, from my guides, what I know from my soul down to the earth, to share, to be. That's mainly the message, is to be me, to be myself, to express myself is part of it. It's more like, though, just to be who I am. Like, just to be who I am, just to live and to enjoy, to be a part of the world, to enjoy what it has to offer, to be a contributing member of society and give something of value. That just came out. Give something of value. And that's interesting, because that's going to be different for everybody. What do you want to give that you feel is valuable, is what I'm being guided to ask you, which is interesting, because I was guided to pull, where did it go? From the Osho Zen Tarot today. This is kind of slightly more intense card deck. I'm only going to pull maybe 1 or 2 cards from this, but that is the key message, is about you want to be who you are, and you don't want to have to feel like you need validation to be who you are. You are practicing clearing the need for validation, practicing clearing the desire for acceptance. That just came through. The desire for acceptance, because you know that you don't need anyone to validate you. You validate yourself. You validate yourself. Like Luna. Like Luna Lovegood. Luna wakes up every morning and she doesn't change who she is to make everybody else comfortable. She just is who she is. She is who she is, and she offers her gifts. She offers her very unique gifts, and she, it seems, is very content. Is very content with that. Other people may take issue, and other people may think she's weird, but she lives her life. She lives her life, and it seems she's very content. So maybe you have more to say about that, but spirit guides of the highest truth and compassion, is there anything else we can share about what the collective, maybe there's this kind of grappling of, I want to be myself and I want to give what I have to give that's of value, and maybe you're like, okay, well, how do I do that? How do I do that? That was a big one. How do I do that? I just got, what is worthy enough? That's the other one that I got too. So I'm only going to pull 2 cards. Worthy enough. Ouch. I mean, maybe ouch for me, but that's going to be different for everybody. That's going to be different for everybody. So we'll see what the cards say. Spirits, what do we have to say about how to actualize and bring down to earth this feeling of what is of value to the collective, and what is of value to the collective? I have 2 for what is of value. Now, because this is a very intense deck, I'm just being guided to look at the card. If I need more information, I'll take a look. So at the bottom, we have maturity, which is blooming. Oh, that's funny. Experiencing popping out. Experiencing maturity. Maybe you're experiencing that. This is kind of about the message. At the bottom we had the Queen of Swords. Maybe you're going through this experiencing of clarity, maturity. So how do we access what is of value? We got isolation, which I just got cry it out. How? You know how. And maybe we all know how. We all know how. It might be slightly different for all of us, but to get to the core of a belief, to get to the core of knowing We have to find isolate ourselves from all of the noise. Maybe taking that minute or like that 3 minutes to do some alternating nostril breathing, or to meditate, or to just find a place in your life that makes you feel very clear. Okay. What is a value? Playfulness. And we got laziness. And playfulness. What is a value? This is funny. Okay. I get this a lot. These cards that are kind of like juxtaposing each other. So there's this balance of do nothing and play. Find joy. What makes your heart sing? What allows you to access your inner child? These are the things that Spirit is asking you, because that what is of value has very much to do with your inner child. That is what I'm being guided to say. What is of value has very much to do with your inner child. Something about when you were younger and you felt like this is literally the words that I'm just channeling is, when you were younger and you felt like all hope was lost, what did you turn to? That's the message, is what did you turn to? And how have you practiced contributing to that now? And where might you be blocking yourself from moving forward? There's a guidance here. I'm getting a lot of energy on my left side. Receive as you will. That you'll need to take some time to be with yourself, to identify some of these things from the past, because some of these things from the past are entangled, like the good and the not great. Like they're all entangled, and maybe that's why there's this other one that's coming through, is like avoidance of acknowledging the seed, the truth. But you're clearing that. You're clearing that now. So, my friend, this is very hard work. Be gentle with yourself. Be kind to yourself. Every day we make progress, even if it doesn't feel like it. Even if one day, you're meditating just for a short period of time and you're saying, okay, I'm going to start to think about my inner child. I'm going to start to think about what helped me when I was young, that allowed me to feel hope. Even if it's just a couple minutes every day, something is going to shift. Something's going to shift for you, because you're putting energy into wanting to understand. So be kind to yourself. Allow yourself to do things you want to do just because you're pulled towards them. That's the other thing. Don't talk yourself out, or if you do, notice when you talk yourself out of doing something that at first makes you feel really excited. Why does that happen? That could also be a segue into how. All right. Well, that is my message for the day. That is very, it's a big message. I'm trying to think if I have anything else to share as far as the story goes. I will just share this little thing here. So I started teaching yoga about a year ago, and I've had my certification for many, many years, but I just hadn't been ready to teach. And so then I finally became ready to teach. And I feel like I'm like Luna Lovegood when I teach. Not necessarily the personality, more just like, Luna Lovegood in the way that she shows up on unapologetically herself. I feel like that is someone I can access. That is something I can access when I teach. And I found that this is something I really am meant to be doing. Now, for whatever reason, the environment in which I teach, sometimes the work can be overcomplicated. It can be overcomplicated. It can be people are at every various stage of their journey, right? Kind of like, yeah, like Luna, she shows up and she is herself and everybody's like, what is she on? You know what I mean? So like, it's kind of the same thing. Like, I show up as myself, and sometimes in the room, I'm not sure who I'm going to get. Maybe I get individuals that are kind of similar or totally different, or they're very, very varied in their practice. And my job as the teacher is to just show up and teach what I know from the heart safely, with the intention that somebody gets something they weren't expecting that influences them in a positive way. And so in order to access that energy, no matter who's in the room, maybe there's someone in the room that's very, very, very experienced in certain, they've been doing yoga for a really long time. Maybe they can bend their body in literally every way possible. And sometimes in my head, I'll be like, what do I have to teach this person? But that's so far from why I decided to teach yoga. It wasn't because of the asana practice. It was because of the mind practice. It was because the mind practice and getting yourself to focus back to your breath when it feels very chaotic in your life. I find that to be very life-changing. And so that's what I have to offer when I teach yoga, is more about getting your focus back to your breath, being able to notice your emotions and not let them take you. And so, like, in order for me to do my thing, I have to access playfulness, and I have to let go. I have to let go of, thinking to myself, what is this person's expectation? And what is this person's expectation? And how can I make sure I meet everybody's expectations? Because that's just not going to happen. That's just not going to happen. And also, I don't believe that the majority of students come to a yoga class, at least from my own experience, wanting the teacher to meet every single one of their expectations. I mean, usually when I come to a yoga class, it's because I'm interested to know what this person has to teach me. I'm interested to know how this might be a different experience than what I'm used to. So there is something there for you, whatever it is that I have shared with my story. I do feel that there is something there for you to unpeel. All right, well, that's what I got. I love you so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.